Maximals?
Hello everyone and welcome, this is Common and Cam. This is going to be a discussion video on what I think went wrong with the Netflix Transfers War for Cybertron Kingdom series and the whole trilogy in general. And I'm joined by my good friend Keyan Carlile.
Hello there!
If you don't know who Keyan is, he's basically responsible for the whole Transformers Animated Season 4 fan project. Now, in your last video, Keyan, you were talking about how Transformers Kingdom is one of the best fan projects to ever be made. I actually think that honor goes to you because, you know, where you didn't have a budget, this series did have a budget. But it still felt like in a lot of areas of the show, there wasn't one. There was no budget. This isn't just going to be us talking smack about the series, this is just us genuinely talking about the flaws of the show, because I feel like there are more flaws than like positives. Now I'm sure we won't get through everything in the series, both positives and the flaws, but I just kind of want to direct it at you, Keyan, just to kind of start off this discussion. So, where did you think this series went wrong?
The issue is that Hasbro didn't really give them like the budget and the resources that I think they should have had. I think that Hasbro and Netflix kind of just wanted to rush something out to support the toy line. Like, all of the character models are literally just the CAD models of the actual toys, you know, like non-union voices. So they like, even if the writers wanted David K, Peter Cullen, which based on the way they wrote the dialogue, it seems like they had them in mind. They just couldn't get it. So they had to get like non-union replacements. So in a lot of ways, they are operating with limited resources, limited funds, this specific project, just because they weren't allotted much attention. Just given on like the marketing, I don't think Hasbro and Netflix really care about the War for Cybertron trilogy that much in the first place. It's just a vehicle for toy sales, which is what a lot of Transformers is.
And sadly, that will always actually be the case, I think. You know, Transformers will always just be seen as a toy brand. But there are some exceptions. There are some Transformers shows that really do make it feel like it's more than just a toy brand. And I feel like the reception of this show, the way how Hasbro's kind of treated it, especially in the promotion for the series, it's kind of just diminished over time. It's like they've just cared less and less. I remember, I think it was Siege, or was it Earthrise? I remember I had to like ask, like, where's the marketing for this series? And that video got a lot of attention. Like, people were saying, like, yeah, you're right, Cam, like, where is the marketing for this series? Like, I feel like I woke them up a bit. And I feel like they may have noticed that the quality of this show is not probably what they hoped it to be. I feel like they may look at this and go, alright, this is kind of similar to how Prime Wars Trilogy was. Well, it's not getting the praise that they hoped for, you know, it's not getting the undying love. There are definitely fans who like this show, and that's great. You know, if you love this show, I'm all happy to you. But there's also a lot of people that don't like the series, and that's more noticeable. And I don't think there's been a lot of engagement in new fans, because Kingdom was on the trending tab for just about a few hours, and then it was taken off. You know, Siege was about a week, Earthrise was about a few days, Kingdom was just a few hours.
And that just shows that it didn't really appeal to casual audiences in the way that Transformers really needs to. Transformers hasn't been big and relevant and popular since that first movie came out in 2007, and I guess to an extent Age of Extinction kind of got people excited again in 2014.
Yeah.
But I think like the average person doesn't even realize that Transformers has TV shows. Oh wow, all of a sudden your audio cleared up. You were super distorted for the beginning of the call. Wow. Okay, sorry, keep going.
Is it better now? Yeah, my internet's absolutely terrible. Like, this is the problem with the United Kingdom. The internet is actually terrible.
At least you have good sense of humor there.
No, we're just cruel. To your point, the second movie, you know, it still made money. Like, all these movies have made money, except for the fifth one.
Yeah, The Last Night. Didn't it lose money?
Yeah, it lost more than it earned, because the budget was like 300. It was like one of the biggest budgets of that year, and I think for a decade. I've noticed Hasbro are doing a shift with the Transformers, like obviously introducing the Beast characters. You know, they teased it a little bit in the Prime Wars trilogy. Oh yeah, that existed, by the way. It's just...
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, I don't think the War for Cybertron trilogy has been nearly as bad as the Prime Wars trilogy, but it's just
way better.
Yeah, but I suppose the production quality and like the voice acting, it's somewhat similar. At least Prime Wars tried it with big A-list actors like Mark Hamill and Ron Perlman.
They have a lot of the Cyberverse writers involved with the Netflix War for Cybertron trilogy, and you can definitely see their influence, especially when May Cat joined in Kingdom. Like, you can just feel her typing those lines out as the characters say them. Because especially when you just, like, follow her as a writer and, like, you appreciate the stuff she does in Cyberverse. I could just, like, pretty much everything that worked in Kingdom for me could be attributed to May Cat. Because she just takes elements from the past of the franchise and spins them in really unique and new, interesting ways. It doesn't save Kingdom, but I like what she does.
They had different divisions for Cyberverse writers. Like, they all had an era that they loved the most. One Cyberverse writer would like animated, the other one would like Beast Wars, the other one Generation 1.
Yeah, and you can feel that too. You can just feel that with Cyberverse. It's just a love letter to the franchise. It's probably not going to bring in new fans, but it's, if you are a fan of Transformers, like, you're gonna find a lot to enjoy in that second and third season of Cyberverse. We're so off topic.
I know, should we kind of reroute this? Should we try and...
Yes, I think we need to.
Because I have no idea what we've got so far that is, like, all about Kingdom. It's like, because that's the thing with Transformers, it spurs out into all...
Yeah.
Because all the franchises, they all kind of... Well, the last few series, anyway, of Transformers have been all kind of the same, repetitive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's been really new. Did they have an ambition starting out with? Like, Hasbro were like, okay, you know, we know how Siege is going to play out. It's going to be similar to the War for Cybertron games because fans really love that. You know, we're not going to give them a sequel to Fall of Cybertron, but let's just give them the War on Cybertron, you know. And then Earthrise, I don't really know what Earthrise was at all. You know, it's just them going through space and coming across the Quintessons, which barely had any relevance.
Yeah, they disappeared.
Yeah, they just kind of disappeared. That's the thing with this trilogy, is that lots of things have just disappeared. And it's a shame, really, because with the content that they had, the material, you know, it was 18 episodes in total, but they had material for about 22 episodes, and they just crammed it all in like an 18-episode trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Netflix original series has lost its buzz. Like, there used to be something very exciting about, oh, it's going to get a Netflix version. But you see a lot of jokes now of, like, the Netflix adaptation being really bad compared to the original.
Yeah.
You know? And I've been rewatching Daredevil recently, and that's a Netflix original, obviously association with Marvel, and I was just thinking, damn, they used to put so much budget and effort and quality into these shows. But now I don't see that. I tried rewatching Resident Evil, the new series that's on Netflix, and I just lost interest after the first episode. There's just the buzz over a Netflix original series that has kind of lost it for me.
Like, with Kingdom especially, oh my gosh, they just had, like, I think they didn't have enough time to do everything that they wanted to do. Like, there was clearly just so many ideas. But, like, right off the gate, the fact that, like, episode 1 of Kingdom, they introduced, like, 14 Beast characters or whatever. Or I guess, like, 7, 6 Maximals, however many. That's, like, no casual viewer is gonna, like, be able to really follow that. You're gonna start to tune out a little bit. They didn't really develop any sort of relationship between Black Arachnia and Airazor. Like, that just sort of showed up in episode 6. That was, like, I don't know, I guess I'm just thinking of Rewind and Chrome Dome in IDW. They, like, really slowly developed that. Whereas this, I think this was, like, the first on-screen homosexuality in Transformers, and it just kind of, like, it just, like, happened within 20 seconds. But I guess a lot of people seemed happy about it, so...
That's the thing, though. There's a lot of things in this series, especially in Kingdom, where everything's just a one sentence. You know, like Black Arachnia, you know, saying that thing about RC. That's it's just said once. It's never brought up again. Airazor's relationship with Tigertron, it's brought up once, and you never see them together again.
Yeah.
You know, there's just a lot of one-note kind of arcs going off all at once, and they know they can't expand upon a lot of these things that they are including because they've only got 22 minutes per an episode.
Yeah.
And they have to shoehorn in a lot of exposition to get to the next point.
Oh, it's all exposition.
Yeah.
Like, the whole episode is just clunky, really long-winded exposition. Yeah, Dinobot has a line, or someone says, like, Primes are noble warriors with pure sparks. It's like, that's so just clunky. Like, no one talks like that, you know? No one talks like a person.
Optimus Prime definitely isn't noble either.
Oh, he's... Okay. See, this is tied with the Michael Bay Optimus as being the worst version for me. But there's a key difference, is that the Michael Bay Optimus no one involved in those productions really saw him as a character. He was more just a robot who could be badass, kill other robots, etc. No one really saw him as a character. So, like, he's totally wrong as Optimus Prime, but no thought really went into him in the first place. Whereas here, with this Optimus, the writers, they tried to make, like, a flawed Optimus, but they failed to give him anything that made him redeemable or worthy of rooting for. Like, they clearly thought this character through, had discussions about him, discussions about what he would do, and yet he is just fundamentally wrong, at least to me, as Optimus. Optimus he's like a father, you know? I think I see him as, like, more of a father than a leader, but at the same time, he's a very competent leader. He really cares about what he's protecting, whereas this Optimus is like, no, we cannot risk the fight to go save Airazor. Whereas in G1, that Optimus would have dropped absolutely everything to go save any Autobot who was captured. And, like, yeah, this isn't G1, like, this, you gotta adapt the franchise and stuff, but I feel like you're losing the core of what makes a character like Optimus so likable and so relatable. Like, you at least have to have some sort of redeeming noble traits to him, rather than just making the wrong decision at every possible turn and being constantly forgiven by everyone. Alita 1 forgives him, and he's the reason she died. In Siege, in Siege, she's constantly second-guessing his every decision. Like, no, Optimus, you're wrong. And, like, you know, I don't think Alita was really that well-developed at all in Siege, but at least she had something going for her. Like, she stood up to him. All of his actions have caused the death of Cybertron. It turns out Alita was right in the first place, but then she's like, I will always love you. I forgive you, Optimus Prime, for killing billions of Cybertronians.
And it's just like, oh, bitch, please.
This jerk bully did not deserve your forgiveness, Alita.
You know, I was talking about how Beast Wars Megatron was one of the biggest offenders of Kingdom.
I watched that video, yes.
I think Optimus Prime is actually the biggest offender of the entire show.
He is.
He's supposed to be warm but gentle, and they really wanted to. I'm okay with the idea of deconstructing this heroic Optimus Prime figure, you know, not always making him one note, you know. There's more layers to him. That's why people want a solo movie of him. You know, he's a really fascinating and interesting character, and the writers had an opportunity to really follow up that. You know, give it in media to deconstruct, because Prime did a little bit of that, and Animated definitely did a little bit of that. Animated did it far better, you know, and that wasn't even the Optimus Prime, you know, version that.
No, that was the most different Optimus we've probably ever had.
Yeah,
and yet it's still so inherently Optimus Prime, just at its core.
And it's like, they had an opportunity to just really go into it, but they made him such a whiny bitch, you know, and it's so annoying. And, you know, you've got characters like Bumblebee or Alita 1 standing up to him, saying to him, you know, we're not doing this. You just kind of feel like, why talk to Optimus Prime that way? You know what I mean? But it's like, I can understand why you are, because this Optimus Prime is a moron. He just relies solely on faith. He has no facts, logic, or reasoning. He has no strategy. You know, when he didn't go for Airazor, I thought that was just weird. You know, and I don't.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned in your video, like, yeah, why? I think it was your buddy. You were saying, yeah, why does Optimus Prime take on the name Optimus if he clearly has some sort of resentment towards him?
Yeah.
I thought he was Nemesis, but it's like, it's still the name Optimus.
Yes, I hadn't even thought about that. Like, he was like, you betrayed Cybertron, Optimus. Then why are you named Optimus?
Even Optimus Prime in this show has no optimism whatsoever. Like, it's just blind faith.
Pessimist Prime.
Yeah. And I honestly understand why he became Nemesis Prime in the future. I hated that storyline. I thought that concept was dumb.
It's an odd choice to have Optimus become evil in the future, you know? Because I feel like if Optimus were to be depicted correctly, you wouldn't actually believe he could become evil.
Well, that's how strong the character of Optimus Prime is. It's like, when he's written right, you know, like in Optimus Prime, you just can't imagine that Optimus Prime being evil.
No.
That's why they had to have the clone.
I love him in Prime, you know, and even like, as much as I, like, don't like how he only speaks without contractions, like, it is paramount that we must not let Megatron, you know, he speaks really stilted, he doesn't really like having fun. I will admit that that's still, even though it's not what I would do, it's still a really, really good, solidly written version of Optimus Prime. that is true to the character in his own way. This just, it's just so fundamentally wrong in Kingdom, in the trilogy as a whole. Just putting the voice acting aside, the way that they wrote a lot of the characters here just feels almost fundamentally wrong.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot to kind of expand on either. Like, each character was pretty much just given a piece of dialogue that would just forward the plot, but there was never a moment where you felt like the characters knew each other. They were just kind of talking.
Yes,
they were
absolutely.
just talking heads. There's a lot of offenders in this series when it comes to representations of the Beast Wars characters, but at least they had the full solid cast of the Maximals. But when it came to the Predacons, when I actually saw 3 Scorponok's all at once, I literally said out loud, "This is stupid."
There were 3 Scorponok's?
Yeah, and it's like, where's Waspinator? Where's Terrace? Where's the rest of the... Oh, I get it, because of budget. And Waspinator would also have taken all the seriousness out of this show.
Yeah, I know.
He was too goofy. They couldn't allow him to be in the show because he would have added humor.
I almost wish they did like this dark, edgy Waspinator who didn't have his speech impediment at all. I just wanted to see. I wish I could have seen how badly they'd have messed him up.
That's why they left him out, because they knew they didn't know how to write him. And it's not just him. There's a lot of characters and that they didn't really know how to write. It felt like they knew who the characters were. They just didn't know how to write them. And there was a lot of good things, though. Don't get me wrong. Like, I did like how Starscream had something to do this time, but then it was never...
Yeah.
It was never really expanded upon towards the end, because he went back to Megatron anyway, when they were walking off into the sunset, whatever the hell that was. And Tigertron as well, he's another character that's like, okay, I actually have forgotten that Tigertron was in the show. I forgot that Cheeto was in the show. Rat Trap,
He did a jailbreak. He did a little jailbreak. At least they gave him, like, something.
I don't know if you noticed that his voice, his accent kind of faded half the time. Like, he spoke normally and then he'd get his accent back somehow. It's like the actor just kind of like, just forgot for a brief second that he's supposed to be doing this, like, this goofy accent.
I was honestly just spacing out by the end.
I was tired when I watched this.
I always start invested in each of the trilogies, and then like by episode 6, I'm just like on my phone. It's just noise in the background. I'm just it's so draining. I'm glad they released them all at once so we can just get them over with.
Yeah, well that's the thing, is I'm honestly shocked they didn't just do this as like a movie, because it felt like it would have made more sense. There's a lot of things that I just felt like there was just a lot of questionable choices Netflix did. Like, why did they have to have them all in separate categories? Why did they not just have the whole series together? Like, for example, new fans, it's like, how do they know which one to watch first?
Yeah.
Because they're all called Chapter 1. Like, every single one of them is called Chapter 1 in the episode list. And none of the episodes have names either. They're just kind of episode 1, 2, and 3, and 6. There's so much negative that it's really hard to see the positive, because I was watching this show and I was tired. Now, usually when you're really excited for watching a show like Daredevil, like I've been rewatching, I can literally sit through 6 episodes of that in a row, and it's like 50 minutes long per episode. I if there's something I'm really digging, I will sit there and watch for hours and hours and hours. So I don't want people to say like, oh, you just watched them all in one go and you got naturally tired. It's like, if the show was engaging me, literally I've been awake for it.
Yeah. When I watch something that I kind of just know is awful going in, I kind of have the opposite response, in that I'll like desperately look for something to like and enjoy. Like, for example, I have a video coming up where a friend and I watched Transformers The Last Night, and it's just like, my expectations were so rock bottom that I kept accidentally enjoying it because my senses were just so numbed to what makes a good movie when you're watching something like that. At least that's how I feel. I'll just like desperately look for anything that I slightly like while I'm watching it. Then after it's over, then I'll like readjust and be like, oh, that was whack. That wasn't good.
I've had that before, yeah. I've watched movies that are like so bad that it's funny. Like, you could see they're trying so hard, but it's just failing. But then the movie's also, like, really boring. Like, it's not engaging you at all. Like, it's just complete silence, complete tone deaf. Yeah, it's like, I'm just wasting my existence watching this. Like, I'd rather watch a bad movie like the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie than watch Transformers The Last Night, because Transformers The Last Night is taking itself seriously. But the movies that don't take themselves seriously and they're bad movies, there's some kind of enjoyment in that. And when it comes to the Netflix stuff, like the animated Godzilla movies, I just find them so boring to watch. And with Netflix, with Transformers, they had a golden opportunity. Like, they had so much material, but they somehow managed to make that material within the 6 episodes so dry. And I just didn't find myself properly engaged, unfortunately, with any of the story beats they were going with. I don't know if that is because they were pressed for time and they had the low budget, or they just didn't know how to materialize it into anything new or exciting or reinventive in any way.
See, to me, when I was watching it, it weirdly felt like a crossover episode. Imagine like a crossover between Beast Wars and like the classic Legacy G1. That could have been so fantastic. Like, you could have seen the two Megatrons try to like eventually betray each other and like trying to out Megatron the other. But instead, what we got was just so cluttered and unfocused that it felt like an incest child between G1 and Beast Wars. Not a fun crossover.
Well, I'm going to bring it up now, the voice acting. Like, just imagine Peter Cullen and Gary Chalk bouncing off each other. That would have been just amazing, just to hear. Like, that is such a missed golden opportunity, that is. Like, that would have been just amazing. I can't believe Hasbro didn't push that at all. I recently watched a video of Gary Chalk explaining how when he auditioned for Optimus Primal in Beast Wars, they told him to do it like Peter Cullen. And Gary Chalk's there like, but I'm not Peter Cullen. If you want Peter Cullen, get Peter Cullen. And obviously, he did it in his own way, which turned out to be the better result. But then you've got something like, Jake Fusey, who's great for Cyberverse because the direction is very different for Cyberverse. But in this trilogy,
yeah, actually, I like him in that. I kind of like him in Cyberverse as it goes on. In G1, it was pretty wooden, but as it went on, I genuinely like the Cyberverse version of the character. He's just very gentle and awkward. I really enjoy that. He does not work in this because he's just imitating Peter Cullen to the best of his ability. Like, they need to come up with a new way for Optimus to sound and come across. Like, have Morgan Freeman voice Optimus Prime. He wouldn't imitate Peter Cullen. He'd just have this deep gravitas. He could embody Prime. He wouldn't sound like Peter Cullen. We need to just find new actors, new takes, new interpretations of the character. And if you're going to imitate Peter Cullen, then get Peter Cullen. But if not, if you're going to hire a new actor, then do a new version of the character. That's how I feel.
Well, I feel like that's what Hasbro or Netflix, whoever's in charge of the casting, told Jake Fusey the same thing they told Gary Chalk, except this time he did it. Like, he didn't decide to do something kind of original. He literally was just bouncing off his impression that he's always done of Peter Cullen, which, I think his impression of Peter Cullen is not good at all. But you can tell with Cyberverse, it's not the same voice. And I don't think the dialogue is helped either. I feel like the non-union actors could have really have shined if the dialogue was better and they were properly directed.
Oh, no, because they're all given these awful, stilted lines. Like, every line is just exposition.
I've got to be honest, the only, like, looking back on the entire trilogy, the only voice that has stood out for this entire trilogy for me has got to be the Megatron voice actor. But that's only because he stands out because he talks so slowly where it's impossible not to hear him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what I was shocked by? Maycat released a lot of screenshots of the script, like lines she was proud of, like Megatron or like Starscream saying, "I can fly." She released several screenshots of the script. There's no ellipses in the script. Like, I assumed the script would go, "We ... have to stop ... him," but no, like this, they're just written as regular dialogue in the script, all of it, and it's like, why did they pause then? They must have been directed, explicitly directed to pause if they all took that many pauses. And it's like, oh my gosh, like the fact that there wasn't even in the script, that was all direction, just makes me even more baffled by whoever was the voice director for this project, because it's just bafflingly bad. No offense to them, all due respect. I'm sure they like deserve the position they've earned, but it's just grating and painful.
Well, to the Kingdom's benefit, unlike last time in Earthrise, I didn't have to speed up the show so much. I don't know what it was this time. I started it out like that because I just trusted it to just be the same as Earthrise, slow, very slow. So I had it speed up. But then there were some moments where the dialogue actually did. It was like, okay, I don't have to have it on extra speed now. So I think that's one thing they did. I don't know if they were mad at me. If any of the writers have seen that, of what I said, I told everyone to speed up the show. I don't know if they were like upset with me. Because, when I was talking about, I don't know if you saw my video, but when the teasers came out for Kingdom, we heard Optimus Primal's voice, and I assumed it was by Jake Fusey. I just assumed that they got the same guy, and they told him to make it sound more animal-like this time. But no. After that video came out, the voice actor for Optimus Primal actually messaged me on Facebook.
I saw that.
And he told me, hey, just letting you know that I actually voiced Optimus Prime. I thought, oh god, I feel so bad.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I'm hesitant to make videos talking about this, because literally these are all people I want to work with someday. I want to work on Transformers storytelling in a professional capacity. I want to work with May Cat so badly. She is just incredible. And yet here I'm just talking badly about the show she was on.
That's what I feel awkward about, because I got to be honest.
I know.
I did actually like Optimus Prime was voice actor as the show went on, because I heard more of it. So I was like, okay, I'm glad that I heard more of him, because it didn't sound it. It's just the clips they used, it sounded very much like Jake Fusey. I don't remember what Cheetor sounds like. I don't remember, what Prowl sounds like. All these iconic characters, even Bumblebee, it's actually hard to remember what he sounds like. And I think he was actually pretty decent as Bumblebee, to be fair. I prefer Jeremy Levy, but...
Jeremy Levy was great, and I want Dan Gilvezan back.
Yeah.
Because Dan Gilvezan, he's old. He doesn't have much time left. Get him back in the booth, please.
Well, this is what's sad. Every time I talk about it, I try and be delicate. I prefer the term retired because it sounds nicer, but it's true. These old actors, they're veterans. They're getting older. These old veteran voice actors, they are getting older. But they're still doing it. You know what I mean? They're still doing other voice work. Why? Because they love it so much. Yeah. And I don't understand what the big issue is paying actors with the right money that they rightly deserve. Especially if they've been doing it for so many years, they deserve that paycheck, because that's what the fans want. That's what you want, talent. And I actually was just thinking, I don't know who the casting director was for this trilogy, but I haven't. It's what happened to Sue Blue? She has just
oh my god
vanished.
Oh, Sue Blue was just everything to this franchise.
She's vanished.
Sue Blue was phenomenal. Oh, and I'm so sad. Oh man, I miss her contributions. You could just feel it when she's involved in a show. Everything she did was phenomenal. If Sue Blue were involved in Kingdom as the voice director, none of this would have happened. But I also feel like Sue Blue probably would refuse to work with non-union, or she would just out of a morality, I guess, rather than disdain for them in particular.
I mean, she's the one who did the voice direction on Beast Wars and Beast Machines and Transformers Animated.
Yeah.
She knows a lot of the voice actors who did Beast Wars. I heard what you talked about with the Beast Megatron voice. It's not a bad voice, you say, but I honestly...
It just doesn't work for him.
Yeah, I just could not stand... I did a few jokes in the Megatron video, of him going, Megatron, let me help you. And I thought, this is a whiny character.
It is you. Yes. Oh, no. It's a combination of how it's written, not only the dialogue, but, the core of the character with what he's saying, what he's doing, how he's just a complete pushover. I think Beast Wars Megatron at first might be like that, but then it's like you said in your video, even in the original Beast Wars cartoon, when he first sees Megatron, he's like the greatest Decepticon leader for now, or whatever. He's like, I'm pretty great as well. He respects Megatron, but if it came down to it, he would fight that Megatron to claim his dominance.
I saw a lot of people in my comments talking about how the Beast Wars Megatron voice actors suited better with Scorponok, and I was like, don't you think Scorponok deserves better? Why are you just reducing that voice that should have belonged to Scorponok, where I don't even think that was right for Scorponok? I mean, it doesn't matter anyway, Scorponok did nothing in the series. I actually forgot it. If it wasn't for his 3 clones, I wouldn't have known he was in the series. if it wasn't for them duplicating him, I would have probably have figured it out. Like, oh yeah, it's like Astro Train. It's like you just forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got the characters' parents, right? Like you, as you mentioned, like yeah, I enjoyed seeing Starscream and Black Arachnia together with Dinobot because they are a good band of characters that like are clearly traders. You're not traders, but they are defectees, you know. But they just didn't know how to write them together properly enough for me to find them engaging long enough. It's not necessarily the showrunner's fault. Like I feel like if they were given like 13 episodes, they could have really have expanded a lot more. But I just felt like they were pressured to get everything within 6 episodes. Like it just felt like they were pressured. I don't know if they feel about that. Maybe they had a lot of fun.
And I obviously this isn't something that they'd really be able to post about, but I wonder how they feel about the finished product. I think about that a lot.
For all we know, they probably had loads of fun making this show, you know. Everyone will take it very differently, you know. But I just feel like the material in the show, it was just reused a lot. And we've already had a lot of stuff in the Transformers franchise already reused so many times. Like, I'm not kidding you. If I have to hear Allspark one more time in a Transformers show, I think I'm going to lose it.
I'm so done with the Allspark.
You know, it's like they didn't even do anything with the Matrix as much as I was expecting they were going. Like, they treated the Matrix as like this sacred symbol, like anyone who holds it. You know, Megatron was so desperately after it. But then he just
kind of wears it as a necklace and, and then loses it.
And it's like, what? You know what I thought was so dumb? When Optimus Prime and Megatron were fighting in the temple, episode 4, and then he's with Optimus Primal, and he just lets Megatron take it. He says, I will stop the fighting by not fighting. And Megatron's just like, yoink, see you, bitch. And he goes running up. You know, and I think Megatron has proven to Optimus Prime over and over and over again that he can never go back to how he used to be. You know, and it's interesting to have Optimus Prime fight for Megatron's past, you know, fight for the guy who he used to be. But, you know, when you just see the fact that he's so far gone down, it's like, how are you expecting to shake hands with this dude when he's done so much evil stuff?
Like, he killed, like, almost all of his Decepticons in episode 1 of Earthrise. He's evil. Yeah. He's a naughty guy. I think he's, in my opinion, I think he's kind of past redemption. Like, that's how, okay, unrelated. Kylo Ren was so past redemption, and then they just redeemed him anyway. I don't agree with them. Anyways, we can keep going. I'm not losing any sleep over it, because I feel like the majority of Transformers media is just really bad. Like, I wouldn't even put this in the top 10 worst, the whole trilogy.
It's only because you forget about it. Like, it wouldn't make it. Yeah. Not because it wouldn't come in your head. And I feel like that's actually been the same with the Prime Wars trilogy. Like, I've generally forgotten. But talking about this Netflix show, I don't know what happened to Netflix. Netflix used to give a lot of budget. And I know it could be just like, oh, well, we don't have the money. It's like, well, if they don't have the money, they shouldn't make it. If they don't want it.
Netflix go non-union recently?
Yeah.
As well?
Yeah.
To me, it's not that the voice acting is bad. It's the fact that they're refusing to pay workers like the wages that they deserve.
I'm just going to bring it up because we haven't spoken about it yet. I haven't properly. The animation for the show, you know, is actually one of the redeeming qualities about this.
I feel like the actual animation itself is just the movement. It might be the art style that you enjoy.
Yeah,
like the art style is how things look. The animation is just the movement, which is very stiff, which is Ultra Magnus T-posing as slowly as he can. That's the actual animation.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean that. No, because you've got like, but another thing that actually really annoyed me is that they copied Energon's tactic by making the models look exactly the same, and the illusion of that annoyed me. To look exactly like the toy, it just makes it feel more like a giant commercial.
Yeah.
And that really takes me out of it a lot more. Like, Optimus Prime's back annoys me.
And again, that's budgetary. The writers didn't choose that. That's Hasbro saying, we only have money to just give you the CAD models of the toys. That's all you get to work with. That's why, like, they don't even all match, you know? That's not the writers' fault. That's again, it's just Hasbro didn't give them the resources that they should have had, which is basically what I opened this with. It all comes back to that.
The animations, like that T-pose thing you put up on your channel, I couldn't help but laugh. When I first saw it in the show, I was like, what is happening? Like,
I know.
What is happening? Like, I was so confused.
You can tell the writers imagined it looking good.
I mean, they hinted like they were going to continue it with the ending, which drove me insane.
I know. I was like, no. We're good.
Honestly, the character arc I missed the most was Megatron's lips.
They weren't as prominent in Kingdom, I feel like. I feel
Yeah,
like they did
what was
something
wrong
and
with
I
that?
didn't even notice his lips. And I was, honestly, just looking at it from a true critical analysis perspective, his lips not being as prominent was the worst part of Kingdom. They should have been large, just as big as they could possibly be, like they were in Siege, but they got rid of it. And that's honestly that's like the biggest shortcoming of the whole franchise in the last 40 years, is how they handled his lips in this show. I loved how he sounded in Cyberverse. I've mentioned this several times. That was such a fantastic Megatron. It wasn't a Frank Welker riff, it was its own thing, but it just sounded really, really good. I don't know, for me, just for whatever reason, this one didn't stand out. Like, it was solid, good performance, but I didn't, like, really stick in with me as something, like, truly remarkable.
Yeah, because they kept Jake Fusey, who did Cyberverse Prime, and Cyberverse Prime is very different compared to War for Cybertron. But then at the same time, it's like, by the way how Megatron is in Cyberverse, I don't think that voice tone would have suited the Megatron we were going to go for. It was just like, okay, we've got to do something. It's like the same with Beast Wars Megatron. It's like, okay, we all wanted David K, but the way how he's written in the show, David K wouldn't suit at all. Because it's a totally different character. You know, they made him Megatron's bitch. And I think David K, looking at the script, would have gone like, this isn't the Megatron I read. All those decades ago. Like, who is this guy? You know. I feel like Gary Chalk would somewhat say the same, maybe. I know Gary Chalk probably would have loved to have just done anything to voice Primal again.
Gary Chalk would be chill. He'd do whatever.
Sadly, we won't be hearing Gary Chalk voice Optimus Primal anytime soon. You know, that's mostly going to be to Ron Perlman now. You know, we'll hear his voice the most as Optimus Primal. But I think Ron Perlman with better direction might actually be better in the movie.
Hopefully. We can hope he doesn't sound like he did in Prime Wars during the movie.
He had no idea what he was doing. He was half asleep.
Oh my gosh. So, it was it's so bad.
Peter Cullen had to tap him on his shoulder like, dude, wake up. Come on. I've been doing this for 30 years. I know how you feel. Come on.
When Peter Cullen has to read like his 30th line about using the Matrix to restore the Allspark to bring life to Cybertron, he's just on autopilot at that point.
Well, yeah, like you said, Peter Cullen can somehow manage to make any script.
He can.
Good.
He can. He can just give whatever line he says. It just sounds like an Oscar-winning performance, even if it's like, we have to stop the Vector Sigma Omega keys from restoring the Allspark and giving its life to the Matrix in order to bring Vector Sigma back online. And then I'd just be hearing that line like, oh yes, Optimus! What an emotional hero!
Oh man, it would have been just so good to have had. I don't know if Peter Cullen's actually met Gary Chalk or like Frank Welker's met David K, but it's like that would just be so fun seeing them go off on each other. Yes, someone will make an edit on YouTube.
I hope so.
Heck, I'll get on it. I might as well do it at this point.
That'd be great. Just get David K dialogue, throw it into Kingdom. Get Peter Cullen dialogue, throw that into Kingdom.
Actually, I'll just get Peter Cullen because you can pay to talk to him now through Skype. So I just kind of like, Peter, could you just...
Really? He's been reduced to that?
I know, yeah, I've noticed that.
Hasbro, pay Peter Cullen.
And it's kind of awkward every time they start the interview because they're like, all right, ready, stand still, take a picture. Now you can talk to Peter Cullen. And I'm like, hi, Peter, I'm a big fan of yours. And Peter Cullen's like, yes.
Yes.
Here I am. Here I am doing this. How are you, young fan? No, but it has been sweet for the most part. Because it's because he clearly loves doing it.
Hey, Peter Cullen, want to watch this funny video?
No. I don't know. I just generally didn't get this Optimus Prime at all throughout the entire trilogy. We had 18 episodes and I just didn't get him. Like, I had to die when I heard him when he says, tell me you'll forgive me. I'm like, what is this? Teen Wolf? Like, what are we watching? This isn't some rom-com. Get out of here.
Oh, no. It was just...
Jake Fusey be foozing me about. I like Jake Fusey.
Yeah, I have no problem with him.
I just don't want him to voice Prime anymore. I think he needs to do better things.
Yeah.
And I'm serious. He needs to do... Because he has probably more range. Because I've seen his impressions online. And he can do a lot of impressions. And that's like a talent that's being wasted on just doing Optimus Prime. Like, get him doing something else. He's a young lad. Come back to Prime when he's about 50.
Yeah.
Maybe he's mastered it by then. No, we're just being mean now. Do you want to end off here?
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, this has been a pleasant discussion. There's just a lot of writing and voice decisions that I disagree with, but it's just a Transformers cartoon. It's harmless. It's not hurting anything by existing, so I'm okay with it. I'm not losing sleep. I can just turn it off and then look forward to the next thing, like the Cyberverse movies, the Nickelodeon show, which I believe Nickelodeon works with Union. I'm not 100% sure, but I like, just based on everything I've seen and read and heard, it seems like the Nickelodeon show is going to be Union voice actors, which I look forward to. And then also Rise of the Beast, which is just just Optimus Primal in live action.
Oh yeah, you know how in Revenge of the Fallen, how we had a close-up shot of Devastator's bollocks? I want to see the same with Optimus Primal in Rise of the Beast. If they don't do that as the opening shot of the movie, I will be so upset.
So Transformers fans have just like gotten used to the concept of Optimus Primal by now. It's been like 25 years. Like, you know, maybe you laugh the first time, then you get used to it. I have never gotten used to Optimus Primal in like 10 plus years, 15 years of being a fan of Transformers. I laugh. I die every time he shows up. Like, there's a scene at the beginning of like episode 3 or 4 where Primal's like jumping through the trees and I was just on my side. He's a gorilla. He's just a monkey and he's Optimus Prime too. It's
I don't know why. I'm just going to kind of imagine that when like, obviously Michael Bay's credited a lot. He was credited on the Barbie movie as like a producer, and I'm just kind of thinking where they're gonna have like, all right, so what should be the opening shot for Rise of the Beast? You know, what should we introduce Optimus Primal? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. Let's have him swinging around on some trees. And Michael Bay be like, no.
No, Michael, let it happen. I want it to be as dumb as possible. If they go with like a gray metallic Optimus Primal, I'm gonna cry. I want it to be just a monkey, like it's just a giant monkey, King Kong style, romping around New York.
Everyone will be upset because they're like, oh my god, no, the Michael Bay humor's back. No.
We came up with this shot. Michael wasn't even on this call. Michael doesn't even know we're talking about him right now.
He influences is all.
Michael Bay is too powerful. Like, when he just comes up and I don't have anything else to add to the conversation. He's just, there's nothing you can say. He's Michael Bay.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I mean, I'm glad that I could talk to you about this because it makes me feel less insane. You know, it makes me feel like I'm not the only one with this opinion. I'm not the only one who feels this way.
Talking about Transformers just makes me feel more and more insane every time I do it. It's just progressively taking over my life. I used to be able to have regular conversations, and now I'll be like hanging out with my friends from high school. I'm like, wow, look at the high contrast palette on this character model. They're like,
this is what happens when you venture out more than just animated. Like when you start opening other continuities, that's where you start losing your head. Not even kidding you. I was literally just going to stick with animated for the rest of my life as a little kid. Like animated was the only show I enjoyed.
That's what I was like for so long, and then the floodgates opened, and now it's too late for me. It's too late.
Well, Keenan, it's been great talking to you.
You too.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Let me know what you all think in the comment section below. And for more stuff just like this, be sure to subscribe, click on that notification bell, and check out Keenan's channel and watch Season 4, for God's sake. What are you doing with your life? Goodbye, everyone.